Chris Smalls is obviously a friend. He's been on our show before. He is a true revolutionary, if there ever was one. I mean, the impact of him successfully unionizing a Amazon warehouse.
They still haven't have a contract. I mean, they still haven't been able to negotiate a contract, but that's another story for another time.
Well, that's true. But we've never seen anything like this. And I'm not saying that all of the kudos goes to Chris. It certainly does not. There were many people involved that made it possible. But with that said, what he was able to accomplish is nothing short of extraordinary. And that's without even addressing the fact that he joined Jacob Berger and a slew of other incredible activists to get on board the latest version of the Freedom Flotilla, the Handela, which was, again, very close to making it to Gaza, and they got intercepted by the IDF.
They were kidnapped from international waters and taken hostage. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. And my understanding is by now, I'm sure Chris Smalls is also released, because I know he was going to be released. But the process for him was apparently very different than it was for everyone else aboard the ship. So I think that, and again, I'm not remotely surprised.
I have been very adamant since we have been doing live streams that I think that there are two ways to look at systemic racism. I think a lot of people have it overblown in this country, which they do. But on the other hand, to deny that it actually exists and it exists within the Zionist culture is to just be completely blind to the reality of what this whole situation turned out to be. There was probably, I guess you would say, 20 total members on this particular flotilla that was
I think so, maybe like 20 something, but I know there were 7 of them were American, and then it was, a whole bunch of other countries represented.
That's correct. And of the 20 members that get pulled, you have one that gets brought into custody, and not only that, but was basically beaten in a very profound way by 7 IDF men, because of course, I
haven't seen have you seen his statement? Has he made a statement yet?
I know that he was released earlier today. I don't know if he's officially put out a statement. Colin, I don't know if you have anything pertaining to anything specific that Chris had said. We did a post on YouTube earlier addressing
even the way in which he's coming home, done completely different from how everyone else was sent home.
Correct.
They are making him go through Jordan.
They're making him go through Jordan, and then he is taking a direct flight or I guess he's taking a connector flight somewhere into Newark. Shout out to Jersey. He is a Jersey resident.
I'm trying to think of I wonder how everyone else, well, they probably had it from private air bases, because I was gonna say, I know the airport in Tel Aviv has been shut down since, the 12-day war. So I don't know how the rest of them, they probably got out on military air spaces, but no, he had to go to Jordan.
Yeah. And just from where I stand, there's no question that they were trying to make a statement. And there is no question that they were making a statement against a black man. And one would say, how do you know it was against a black man? I'll tell you why.
Because he was the only one.
The only one on there. And that's the one that they grabbed. And that's the one that they beat really bad. Come on. I even said, listen, who's to say that they're not going to really make an example of him? The only reason why he's coming home is because the walls are kind of closing in on Israel, which we're going to get to over the course of this evening. But the fact that they decided to single him out, and don't think for a second that Jeff Bezos wasn't salivating at the price. It's like, give him one for me, man. Give him a little, just a little extra something. But I believe that this is a statement Colin has queued up that I sent from earlier.
Okay.
So this was from yesterday. And
okay, so we need, this isn't the most recent thing.
No, but I want to put this up there because credit to Chuck Modi, credit to Philip Lewis, there is no question that there was a concerted effort on social media over the last 24 to 48 hours to call the State Department, to call the embassy, to get Chris Smalls the hell out of there. And there was basically radio silence from the Trump administration, from everybody. And then lo and behold, within the last 24 hours, the word comes out that, yes, Chris Smalls is now going to be released. Well, credit to any one of you that are in the audience this evening. Credit to each and every one of you that decided to pick up the phone and call the State Department. No use calling the U.S. Embassy in Israel. That's not going to get you anywhere. But if you called the State Department and hounded them and said, this is going to be an international incident that you don't want, get Chris Smalls the hell back here, credit to them for doing the right thing. He was released earlier today. And that is, too obvious. So Labor leader Chris Smalls out of Israeli prison.
Okay.
The Israeli military detained Smalls in inhumane conditions.
Can I ask, what's our source here? What are we reading?
This is the American Prospect. This is a conservative publication. So,
okay.
At least we're getting it from a...
I just want to know the status of the situation.
A libertarian conservative is how I would describe the American Prospect.
All right.
Crew member Bob Sabiri, a U.S.-Israeli peace activist, warned that genocide and violence would spread. A little late for that. It's been spreading for a while. Can we just scroll up for a second? Can we just say what an absolute badass of a photo that is?
It's a really good shot.
I mean, when I ran into Chris in New York a couple of years ago, he just had like a very stoic way about him.
Yeah.
He understands he's putting himself in harm's way. Again,
that's the revolutionary part.
It is.
That's the revolutionary part. So, yeah.
Yeah, and he's willing to put himself in harm's way. He's done it before. He did it again. He will do it again. It's not the last time. All right, let's see what else they have to say.
That's the difference between a reformer and a revolutionary.
Yes. Or the difference between a liberal and a progressive.
No, the difference between a reformer and a revolutionary. Revolutionaries are willing to put themselves on the line. Reformers aren't.
That's true.
So, and that could mean physically, symbolically, careerly, whatever, but revolutionaries are willing to take a hit for something that a reformer is not going to take a hit for.
Listen, I did what I had to do, but I refuse to say that this is a genocide. No. This is not a genocide. This is a very violent.
Yeah. See, that's a reformer.
100%. The Israeli military released Amazon labor union founder. I love that they said that. Chris Smalls earlier this morning, after subjecting him to physical abuse and detained him for 5 days in an overcrowded prison. So I can't wait till he starts sharing what was really going on, like how they basically were trying to break him, and he was like, you're not getting me, not happening. To physical abuse and overcrowded prison cell without ventilation or cooling, despite extreme summer heat that drove temperatures close to 100 degrees, according to the legal aid group Abdallah and the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. Neither the U.S. consulate nor the U.S. embassy officials met with Smalls, shock, though they were notified of his release details in advance, nor did they visit him or other activists during their detention, despite repeated requests, the organization said. Smalls was the only Black member of the 20, all right, so I said 20, it's 21-person international crew aboard the coalition's boat, the Handala, as it sought to deliver food, medicine, baby formula, and diapers to Gaza. And he was subjected to some of the worst abuse. After 6 days, the Israeli military intercepted the delegation in international waters and took them to Gibeon prison. His abuse began then, the organizations and eyewitnesses said. And let me just say this, as I shared with you the other day, Jen, we don't have to pull the article because, again, how do you know Israel's lying?
Its lips are moving.
The idea that they are suggesting that this Freedom Flotilla was carrying narcotics into Gaza. Like the level of desperation that they have hit.
Wait, where are you pulling that from this? I mean,
it was just off the top of my head.
I know, but you're going to, it makes things confusing for the segment.
I won't again.
Don't do that because not everybody knows what you're thinking.
More from Whitney Curry Wimbish. When he reached the Israeli prison, U.S. human rights defender Chris Smalls was physically assaulted by 7 officials. 7. Not 1 or 2, but 7.
They choked him and kicked him in the legs, leaving visible signs of violence on his neck and back, the coalition said. Not so smart to leave signs.
No. When his lawyers met with him, Chris was surrounded by 6. Be careful what you say here, buddy. Chris was surrounded by 6 members of Israel's special police unit. This level of force was not used against any other abducted activists. Really?
They needed 6 of them. 6 people surrounding him.
Well, it was very threatening, Jen.
on the threatening mission with baby formula and food and aid.
Smalls was the last person released early Thursday morning, along with Tunisian activist Hatem Ayoni, who was received by the Tunisian embassy at the border with Jordan. Both Smalls and Ayoni had gone on a hunger strike for all 5 days they were in prison. Hey, let me tell you something. I'm not sure that hunger strike was by choice. I highly doubt what they were being served was anything probably worth eating anyway.
No, but it still could have been choice. But notice the difference, though. Okay, so this gentleman, Hatem Ayoni, please forgive. I know I'm butchering it. He was received by somebody at his country's embassy at the border. Nobody was there to greet Chris Smalls, right? Mm-hmm. Like there was nobody from the United States to greet him there. Because why, if there were, that would be in this.
Attorneys from the legal aid organization Adala visited the two and reported that prison guards have been violently raiding and searching their cells on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And so, with that being said, the silence from the U.S. government about Israel's abuse of Smalls reflects indifference towards anything associated with Palestine, including its credit to the American prospect. Good for them. But then again, they are libertarian leaning, so this isn't surprising that they're framing it, they're discussing it the right way, including its own citizens, said Bob Sabiri, a 77-year-old U.S. peace activist and dual U.S.-Israeli citizen who was aboard the Handala with Smalls. He noted the Israeli forces have killed multiple American and dual citizens in Palestine over the years. As Zateo pointed out, they have killed at least 6 Americans since October 7th, yet politicians have shown no interest. It's even more surprising while the largest labor union in Canada has condemned Smalls' detention. Few U.S. unions have spoken up about the situation. That's amazing. Smalls' own Amazon labor union, the California Faculty Association, and Sarah Nelson of the Association of Flight Attendants, notable exceptions. In a Wednesday night vote, 27 Democratic senators among the 44 voting support among the 44 voting to support the block. Isn't that incredible? You have 27 Democrats and 17 Republican senators that voted to stop this arms sale, but there was at least 56 other senators, including almost half of the Democrats, who voted no. So when we say that it doesn't matter what party you're in, it doesn't at all.
I also, by the way, want to point out that this is one of those things that I find also somewhat performative from Bernie. So this is one of those things that I do feel, and it might not be so in this case, but this is one of those times when it appears that a lot of people are doing this, but only because they know that it won't go through. And so they get to sort of look like the good cop, even though they know it won't go through. And it's just very theatrical to me.